Hello, good day, and welcome to Thailand International Mathematical Olympiad Mock Exam 2025-2026. So, this set is for primary 2 or grade 2 students. And this is your mock exam. By the way, I am your coach Ruru, and I will be your coach for today. Here are my simple class rules to please turn on your camera, mute your microphones, avoid unnecessary annotations, and please be attentive. And you may ask questions using the chat box. Please use the chat box responsibly. So this is for primary 2. Again, for primary 2. First category, logical thinking. Question number 1. According to the pattern shown below, what should be the number filled in the blank? We have the sequence 17, 24, 38, 59, and 87. The task is to determine the number in the sequence. To identify the pattern, examine the differences between consecutive terms. To do that, get the difference of 24 and 17. 24 minus 17 is equal to 7. Next, 38 minus 24 is equal to 14. 59 minus 38 is equal to 21. That 87 minus 59 is equal to 28. The differences increases by 7 each time. Therefore, the next difference is 28 plus 7, 35. That 35 is the value we will add to 87. 87 plus 35, 7 plus 5, 12, 1 plus 8, 9 plus 3, 12, 122. Therefore, the number to put in the blank is 122. That's 35 greater than 87. So a common mistake is guessing the next number without checking how the differences change. So make sure that you check how the differences work. In this case, the differences increase by 7 each time. Therefore, the next difference is 35 for 87 plus 35, 122, correct and final answer. For number 2, 13 children including Tom are standing in a column. There are 5 children standing in front of Tom. How many children is or are standing behind him? In problem number 2, there are 13 children standing in a line, including Tom. 5 children are standing in front of Tom. So you can illustrate that this is Tom, and there are 5 children standing in front of him. So first, second, third, fourth, 5. So making Tom to be the sixth person from the front. So you can also see that for us to know the number of children behind Tom, that would be 13 total children minus the 5 people in front Tom minus Tom. 13 minus 5 is 8 minus Tom, as in minus 1, that's 7. So, as simple as that, we now have the answer. A common mistake is forgetting to subtract Tom himself. So, don't forget that Tom is part of the line, and always go back to what is asked. How many children is or are standing behind him? So that would be 13 minus 5 minus Tom. Final answer, 7 for number 2. In number 3, according to the pattern shown below, how many asterisks or stars is or are there in the 8th group? Several groups of stars are shown, and the question asks how many stars appear in the 8th group. 8th. Each group forms an n by n grid. Group 1 is 1 by 1, second is 2 by 2, third is a 3 by 3, and fourth is a 4 by 4. For each group, the top row has n stars. The left column also has n stars, right? This gives the formula that you double the number of the group. For example, the third group minus 1, you'll get the number of asterisks or stars. So for the third group, number 3, as in 2 times 3, 6, minus 1, 5. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars. So our formula works. Let's try to apply this to our fourth group. 2 times 4, as in the fourth group, minus 1. 2 times 4 is 8, minus 1, 7. Let's count how many stars are there in groups. In group 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, our formula worked. So this is safe to apply in getting the number of asterisk for the eighth group. We just double the group number, as in 8 for the eighth group, then just minus 1. 2 times 8, 16, minus 1, 15. So the final answer for number 3 is 15 stars. Final answer, 15. 1, 5 for number 3. In number 4, if 26 days ago was Wednesday, which day of the week is today? It is given that 26 days ago was Wednesday. The question asks for the day of the week today. The word ago means moving backward from today to reach Wednesday. Okay? The word ago means moving backward from today to reach Wednesday. However, once Wednesday is identified, the task is to move forward to find today. That if there are 26 days, you divide that by 7 since the days of the week repeat every 7 days. So divide 26 by 7. That's 3 weeks and 5 days. 3 weeks and 5 days. The remainder of 5 means today is 5 days after Wednesday. Again, the remainder of 5 means today is 5 days after the last Wednesday. Now, count forward on Wednesday. That would be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Final answer, Monday. A common mistake is trying to keep counting backward after reaching Wednesday. After identifying the reference day, they always move forward to determine today. Again, since the word ago means moving backward from today to reach Wednesday. However, once we reach the Wednesday, as in the third Wednesday, here, the third Wednesday, in the third week, okay, the task is now to move forward to find today. That 5 days ago, it was a Thursday. 4 days ago, it's a Friday. 3 days ago, it's a Saturday. 2 days or yesterday is a Sunday, making today a Monday. Okay? That's the reason that the final answer in number 4 is a Monday. The word ago means moving backward from today to reach Wednesday. That once we reach the third week of Wednesday, since 26 divided by 7 is 3 weeks and 5 days. As we reach the third week or the third Wednesday, the task is to move forward to find today. A common mistake is trying to keep counting backward after reaching Wednesday. After identifying the reference day, always move forward to determine today. Final answer, Monday. Number 5. The students are lining up for exercises with the same number of students in each row. Counting from the front, Ming is in the third row and the fourth column. And counting from the back, he is in the fifth row and the sixth column. How many students are there in total? Okay. The total number of rows is found by adding the front and the back positions and then subtract 1. That's Ming's position. Here on screen, we have listed that from front, Ming is in the third row and fourth column. But if you will check from the back, she is in the fifth row and sixth column. So the total number of rows, you can get it by adding the front and the back positions and then subtract 1. So for the row, third and fifth row, 3 plus 5, 8 minus 1, 7. Therefore, there are 7 rows. Why do we subtract 1? Because that's the common position of Ming, third and the fifth row. To remove double counting. So we subtract 1 because the third and the fifth row is the exact position of Ming. That's only one person position. But if from the front, she's on the third row. But if you'll check from the back, she's on the fifth row. That's why we minus 1. The same thing to get the number of columns. She's in the fourth column and she's in the sixth column. That's 10. We subtract 1 because that same column, that same position, is just owned by one person, as in Ming. So, 9 columns. The total number of students, since it's like a classroom setup, the students are lining up for exercises and then they are arranged in columns and rows. So that's a clue that they're like standing in rectangular formation. You have like, you imagine it like having a flag ceremony that on the same column are your classmates. On the right side and the left side are the people from different sections or different year level. So it's like a grid. So this is Ming, for example. There are some people in front of her, some people behind her, some people on her right side, some people on her left side. That these people also have um classmates or other students standing in front of them, behind them. So it forms like a rectangular formation. So it's like a grid. A grid. They have their own seats or they have their own standing positions. So it's like a grid. Like a classroom setup, but standing position in this example. So simple as multiplying the number of row times the number of columns, as in 7 rows, times 9 columns, that's equal to 63. That there are 63 students in number 5. A common mistake is forgetting that you need to subtract 1 when combining front and back and right and left because that's the same position. So just remember that you just need to combine the number of the position third and fifth, that's 3 plus 5, then subtract 1. Same with the columns, fourth and sixth columns, so 4 plus 6, subtract 1, because that is shared by one person's position. Then you'll have 7 and 9, multiply that in a rectangular formation, that's equal to 63. Final answer for number 5 is 63, 63 students. Number 6. Three children A, B, and C have a puppy, a kitten, and a rabbit and live on the first, second, and third floors respectively. It is known that child A lives on the second floor, that the child with the puppy lives on the first floor, and child B does not have a kitten. What pet does C have? Okay. Three children A, B, and C each have exactly one pet, a puppy, a kitten, or a rabbit. They live on different floors, first, second, and third floors. The question asks, what pet does he have? The given informations are that A lives on the second floor. So let's put child A on the second floor. The child with the puppy lives on the first floor. Puppy. B does not have a kitten. Since A lives on the second floor, A cannot be with the child with the puppy because the puppy is on the first floor. This means the puppy must belong to either child B or child C. So B or C lives on the first floor. Assume B has the puppy, then B must live on the first floor. So elimination method that it might be B who lives on the first floor. Next, since A already lives on the second floor, C must live on the third floor. Now check the pets. If B has the puppy, since B does not have a kitten, that leaves a rabbit for C because we can put the kitten for A. Here's the rabbit. Of course, this assignment satisfies all the given conditions. Now check if C could have the puppy instead. If C had the puppy, C would live on the first floor. A still lives on the second floor, so B would live on the third floor. B does not have a kitten, so B would need either the puppy or the rabbit. But the puppy is already assigned to C, living on only the rabbit for B. That leaves the kitten for A. This arrangement satisfies all conditions. However, the question does not ask who has the puppy. It asks what pet C has in a valid arrangement. From the valid logical assignment shown, C is assigned for the rabbit. A key reminder is that logical problems often allow temporary assumptions to test consistency. The correct answer is the pet C has the rabbit. It must have under the valid agreement. At first, we assume that maybe it's B who has the puppy, since B does not have the kitten. So A could have the kitten, and the most valid answer is C could have the rabbit upon assumption. And it was all shown for this question. All right? Well, we will not deny that the question could have given more clues because it seems that there were no other restrictions. If at least one more restriction is given, we will be much certain of what could be the answer. That any of the pets could be for C, but the most valid, at least, or acceptable answer is C has the rabbit. C has the rabbit. Next category, arithmetic. Number 7. Okay. In number 7, a common mistake is to compute the expression strictly from the left to right without noticing that the numbers naturally form pairs that simplify the calculation. The given expression can be rearranged. The task is just to find its value. So you can simplify by grouping the terms that cancel or combine easily. For example, or let's start with 7 minus 4, and that's equal to 3. 11 minus 8, that's 3. 15 minus 20, which what you can do, you can pair it to the other numbers, where you can also subtract your minus 20 instead from plus 27, your 33 from 40. And the other way is, you can combine the plus values and the minus values. For the plus values, it starts with 7 plus 11 plus 15 plus 27 plus 40. 7 plus 11 is 18. Plus 15, that's 33. 33 plus 27, that's 60. Plus 40, that's 100. So the plus values is equal to 100. For the minus values, let's combine. Minus 4, minus 8, minus 20, minus 33, and that's it. 4 plus 8 plus 20 plus 33. 12 plus 20, 32 plus 33, 70. Correct? 4 plus 8, 12. Plus 20, 32. Plus 33. Let's add that 65. I'm sorry. This is equal to 65. So, why did I use addition to combine the minus values? Because it's the same logic that, for example, let's use the numbers in the original expression. If you have 7 candies and you plan to give 4 candies to a friend, since your mom will be giving you 11 candies, so you're willing to give another 8 candies to another friend, since your father will give you 15 more candies. So you decided to share 20 more candies to your friends, since a cousin will give you 27 candies, that you decided, I will share the 33 candies to my cousin. Since my lola, my grandmother, will give me 40 candies. So the logic would be, for you to know how many candies left after you received some candies and gave some candies to your friends and cousin, is that you count first how many candies you received, and then minus all the total candies you're about to give. So in this case, logically, you received 100 candies, and then you will be giving away 65 candies. That will reveal the final answer to number 7, 100 minus 65, that's 35. This is the correct and final answer for number 7, 35. In number 8, the problem states that A and B are one-digit numbers, and the vertical addition shown result is 39. From the layout, the addition is A plus AB is equal to 39. Start with the ones column, as in the A plus B, it is equal to 9. Now, if we look at the tens column, it's only A, and that's over 3. In the question, it is said that A and B are both one-digit numbers. To get a 9, that is quite a big digit. That even if we add A plus B as 9 and 8, or 8 and 9, vice versa, that will give a 17. And remember, if your A is 9 or 8, it could end with 100 plus. And it's far from 39. Therefore, it's only small values. Actually, the answer is already in the question, where A plus B is equal to 9. What is asked in the question? The A plus B. It's already given that it is 9. What could be the possible values of A plus B? It could be 3. A is equal to 3 right here. That B is equal to 6. Let's try that. So 3 plus 3, 6 is equal to 3, 9. See, it works. That A plus B is really 9. So number 8, the final answer is just simply 9. That's the value of A plus B, 9. In item number 9, what is the value of number A if the equation below is correct? So if we are to rewrite the expression, it's just like 19 times A is equal to 152. We can do some estimates, like 19 times 10 is equal to 190. So we adjust. That's way too much, the original 152. Let's try 19 times 9. 19 times 9, let's multiply. 9 times 9 is 81. 9 times 1, 9 plus 8, 17. So, still greater than 152. So, let's try again and let's do some 8s. 19 times 8. 8 times 9, 72. 8 times 1, 8 plus 7, 15, 152. 19 times 8 is 152. Therefore, A is equal to 8. Final answer is 8. Other ways to solve this is backward solution. If you have a product, you can divide that by a factor to find its missing factor. As in 152 divided by 19. We already estimated 19 times 10 is 190. 19 times 9 is 171. 19 times 8 is 152. So you can do 19 times 5 first to get the answer. And that would be 95. And then add up, add up. If you're not yet that confident with your division and multiplication. All right. So this is equal to 8 for number 9. For number 10, find the value of 5 times 8 plus 9 times 8 minus 2 times 8. You can do direct solution from left to right, but just make sure that you are following the rule of MDAS, where you multiply first, divide if there's division, add if there's addition, then subtract the last part. So in this case, we have 5 times 8. That's equal to 40. And we have 9 times 8. That's 72. And we have 2 times 8. That's 16. So 40 plus 72 is equal to 2. 4 plus 7, 11. So 112 minus 16. Minus 16. So 12 minus 6, 6. 10 minus 1, 9. Correct answer is 96. Another way to solve is here. We have a common multiplier 8. We put it out. We can multiply it to the unique factors of 5 plus 9 minus 2. 5 plus 9 minus 2. Later will be multiplied by 8. So that's 8 times 5 plus 9, 14 minus 2, 12. That If we multiply, 12 times 8, 8 times 2, 16, 8 times 1, 8 plus 1, 96. So this is the correct and final answer. Number 11, if each child receives 4 books, there are 6 books left over. If each child receives 6 books, all the books are distributed. How many children are there? So for us to determine how many children are there, we need to figure out how many books are there, because that will help us determine how many children by satisfying the condition that, for example, if there are 10 books, if you distribute 4 books each for some kids, that will be 2 sets of books only and a remainder of 2. So let's try to test. It is said in the question that if each child receives 6 books, all the books are distributed, so no remainder. So most likely, the answer to the question is a multiple of 6. So let's test first. If there's only one child, there must be 6 books. But the condition is each child receives 4 books, there are 6 books left. So there's more than 10 books, 4 books plus 6 books. So let's try if there are 2 kids. So 2 children, as in 12, that's more than 10 books already, as in 12 books. 2 children with 6 books, 12 books, but it is divisible by 4. As in 12 divided by 4 books is exactly equal to 3. No 6 books left. Next, we test, what if there are 3 children? As in 3 times 6 books. So 18 books. 18 books distributed to 3 children, no books will be, no books left, or all the books will be distributed. That 18 books divided by 4, and if there are 3 children, or 3 times 4 is 12, minus 12, so that's 6 books left. So it seems we have already the answer that there are 3 children in this question, satisfying that each child receives 4 books. There are 6 books left over. So with the 18 books, 3 kids times 4 books each, that's 12 books. 18 minus 12, 6. So 4 books and the 6 books left over, all check. Next condition, if each child receives 6 books, so 18 divided by 3 kids or 3 children, that's 6 books each. So all the books are distributed, also check. So what we did in the question is that we tried to understand it first, that if each child receives 6 books and all the books are distributed, most likely the answer will be in multiples of 6. 6, 12, 18, tested. So if only 6 books, that's impossible because there must be 6 books left over. So the answer must be more than 10. So 6 won't be an answer. As we tested 12, it's also not an answer because 12 is when you give 4 books to 2 children, or if you divide 12 by 4, it's equal to 3, and all the books are distributed in that case. So we proceed to the next option, 18 books. 18 books divided by 3 children, that's equal to 6 books each child. And if there are 3 children that will receive 4 books each, so 4, 4, 4, that's 12. So 18 minus 12, that's 6. So the 6 books left over is satisfied. So to answer the question, how many children are there? It's 3. By the help of determining how many books is that question talking about? 18 divided by 6, 3. In number 12, it took Ming 6 minutes to climb from the first floor to the third floor. At this rate, how many minutes would it take him to climb from the first to the sixth floor? So, from the first floor to the third floor, Ming climbs 2 floor intervals and it takes 6 minutes. So, from first to third, that's 3 floors minus 1 floor, that's 2 floor interval. In these 2 floors, that took Ming 6 minutes. So 6 minutes divided by 2 floors, meaning Ming can climb 3 minutes per floor. So in the question, at this rate, how many minutes would it take him to climb the first floor to the sixth floor? Then that's just 6 floors minus 1 floor, as in first to the sixth floor. That's 5 floor interval. 5 floors. And if each floor, Ming can climb in just 3 minutes. So 5 floors times 3 minutes is the solution. And that's 15 minutes in total. So in number 12, the correct answer is 15 and final. Next category, number theory. Number 13. Fill the lines with plus and minus to make the equation below correct. Write down the complete equation on the answer sheet. So the task is to insert the plus or minus symbol so that the result will be equal to 20. So 20 is quite a small result, having you have a 14 and a 9 already. So we assume all symbols to be minus first. 14 minus 9 is 5, minus 8 negative. So we try to change this to plus. 14 minus 9 is 5 plus 8, 13. If you minus 7, that's less than 20. So add 7. 13 plus 7, 20. Easy as that, you now have the answer. But in the answer box or in the answer sheet, follow the instruction to write the complete equation. So you must write 14 minus 9 plus 8 plus 7 is equal to 20. This must be your answer. In number 14, the numbers below form an arithmetic sequence. What is the 11th term in the sequence? So 25, 31, 37, 43, and 39, these numbers are increasing. But let's check how are the numbers increasing. 31 minus 25, that's 6. 37 minus 31, that's 6 also. 43 minus 37, that's 6. 49 minus 43 is also 6. So we are sure and certain that the increase of the numbers in the arithmetic sequence is increasing by 6. So for us to figure out the missing term, the 11th term, first let's try to understand how can we get 37, for example, the third term. The first term is 25. Using the first term, if we add one set of 6, it's equal to 31. So that's the second term. The third term, for example, the 37 that I'm talking about, you can get the same, or you can get that value by doing the same process. Twice of 6 this time. 25 plus 12, 37. So, this can be applied in getting the 11th term. To find the 11th term, it's the first term, 25, plus 10 more terms, no, because 25 is already there. So 10 terms times 6. you need to add 6 10 times to get the 11th term, right? So 25 plus 10 times 6, that's 25 plus 60. 25 plus 60 is equal to 85, and this is the correct and final answer that the 11th term is 85. It's just first term plus how many terms more? 10 more terms to add 6 to get to the 11th term. So that's why we have 10 times 6. So 25 plus 10 times 6, that's 25 plus 60. Final answer, 85 for number 14. In number 15, 12 students took part in a mathematical test in which their total score is odd. Given that 4 of the students have an odd number of scores, so there are 12 students. This is the total. And their total score is odd. Odd total also. Given that 4 of the students, so 4, have an odd score, 4 got odd, and 2 of the students have an even number of scores, so 2 got even. So that would be 6 students that we have their partial scores. So we are asked, at most, how many of the remaining students has or have an even number of scores? All right. To answer that question, first we assume these 4 odd students, their score is 1. And this even numbered students, their score is 2. So this is equal to 4, and this is equal to 4 also. So their partial score is even. If we have the 6 student scores already, so the other half or the other 6, that's what we don't have yet. So we test. All the 6 kids got even score, as in 6 times 2, that's 12. If you add that to the total of 4 plus 4, 8, that's equal to 20. So 6 is not an answer. But if we try 5 of the kids got even number scores, as in 5 times 10, 5 times 2 is equal to 10. So 8 plus 10, 18. And one kid got an odd score, as in 1. So these are even, and this is odd score. So that's 11 plus 8, 19. So these checks that there must be 5 kids. The maximum number of kids who can get an even number of scores is 5. If 5 all got 2 or even scores, it's equal to 10. And that one kid, last kid, got 1, for example. 10 plus 1, 11. Added to 8, you'll get an odd total score, 19. So to answer the question, it's 5. 5 kids at maximum. Number 16, how many 2-digit even numbers are divisible by 6 is or are there? The question asks how many 2-digit even numbers are divisible by 6. The smallest 2-digit number divisible by 6 is 12. The largest 2-digit number divisible by 6 is 96. This form an arithmetic sequence 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, and so on up to 96. So, the first term is 12, the last term is 96. The common difference is 6. You can use a formula to know the number of terms. It's just 96 as in last term minus first term. So 96 minus 12 divided by the common difference plus 1. And that's equal to 96 minus 12, 84. Divided by 6 is 14. Plus 1, the answer is 15. So there you have the answer. Just remember the formula to get the number of terms. Last minus first divided by common difference plus 1. It forms an arithmetic sequence with a common difference. Or the other way is, since we're asked of how many two-digit even numbers are there that is divisible by 6, we can start with the largest two-digit even number, 98. Divide it by 6. 9 divided by 6, 1. 1 times 6, 6. 98 minus 6, that's, 9 minus 6 is 3. 38 divided by 6 is 6. 6 minus 6 times 6, 36. There's a remainder too, but you can disregard that. This is what's important, the 16. There are 6 multiples of 6 from 6 to 98. But 6 is just a one-digit number, so you do 16 minus 1. That reveals the answer 15. Because we'll only be counting from number 12 to 96. So there are 15. What you can do is, using the largest even number 98, divide that by the divisibility rule of 6 or the number 6. 98 divided by 6 is 16, but you have to subtract 1 because part of the 16 list is the digit 6. We're only asked for the two-digit even number. And all the multiples of 6 are even. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, and so on are all even numbers. That's automatic. All the multiples of 6 are even. Number 17, write a three-digit number where the hundreds digit is the smallest prime number, the tens digit is the smallest composite number, and the units digit is a multiple of both 2 and 5. All right, so let's complete these 3 boxes. So it's written that we have to make a three-digit number and we have some conditions per digit. It is written that the hundreds digit is the smallest prime number. The smallest prime number, guys, is 2. It is that small, even though it is even, it is that small that it cannot be divided by any other number except for itself and 1. So, a prime number like number 17, it cannot be divided by any other number except for itself. 17 divided by 17 and 17 divided by 1 only, so that you will not get a remainder. Going back, the smallest prime number exists is number 2. It is that small that it cannot be divided by itself and it cannot be divided by any other number. Only itself and 1. Even if it's even, it is still the smallest prime. The tens digit is the smallest composite number. So 1, 2, 3 is prime, 4 is composite. So it's the smallest composite, 4. Now, we're done for the tens digit. And the units digit is a multiple of both 2 and 5. 2 and 5, there's no such digit except for 0. 0 is a multiple of 2 and a multiple of 5. Because 2 times 0 is 0, 5 times 0 is 0. So, it is a multiple of both 2 and 5. 240 is also a multiple of 2 and 5, the whole number. Anyway, we're done for number 17. The final answer is 240. 240. Number 18. A number leaves a remainder of 3 when divided by 6 and leaves a remainder of 3 when divided by 8. What is the smallest number? Or what is the smallest such number? So the number leaves a remainder of 3 when divided by 6 and also when divided by 8. The number can be written as so what we need here for number 18 is a common multiple of 6 and 8, and then we'll just add 3 to get the remainder. Correct? So we just find the least common multiple of 6 and 8. LCM of 6 and 8. So why least? Because we're asked of what is the smallest such number. So the multiples of 6 are 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. So I'll just give 5 examples. Next, for 8, it's 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. 5 examples. So from here, from the listing method, we can actually identify the common multiple. Literally common. And it's also the list. It's number 24. 24 is the least common multiple of 6 and 8. From there, we just follow the condition that it must give a remainder of 3 if divided by 6 and also a remainder of 3 if divided by 8. So from 24, just add 3 and let's test. 24 plus 3 is 27. So let's divide 27 divided by 6. That's 4. 4 times 6, 24. 27 minus 4, 3. Next, 27 divided by 8. That's 3. 3 times 8, 24. Minus 3. So, both have a remainder of 3 when divided by 6 and divided by 8. So, final answer, 27. Both of the equations resulted with the remainder of 3. Final answer is 27. Just get the LCM of 6 and 8 because it is told that when divided by 6 and divided by 8, when it will give a remainder of 3. So, very simple. 24 divided by 6 and 24 divided by 8. Just add 3, so that makes it 27. So the final answer is 27. So don't forget to give what is asked. That it's not 24, it's 27 because it will leave a remainder of 3 for both division. Next category, geometry. Number 19, how many line segments or segment is or are there in the figure below? In number 19, there's a technique that you should remember that if a line is made of 2 points, that makes one line segment only. So this is one line segment only. But if a line makes 3 points, 1, 2, 3, that makes 3 line segments. 1, 2, and the whole thing is the third. Okay? That if the line creates or is made of 1, 2, 3, 4 points, it creates 6 line segments. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the whole thing 6. Clear? So now let's check what does the figure have. We can see one set of one line segment, right? And then we can see one, two, three, three sets of 3-point line segment or 3-point line. So every 3-point line is equivalent to three, 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 and then one. So in total, 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 9 plus 1. Total is 10. Right? For number 19, the total is 10. Number 20, how many squares is or are there in the figure below? So in items like this, let's remember that a square could be in different sizes. It could be a small or a bigger one. So what I'm trying to say is a square could be this small or it could be this big by combining the other squares. Now, let's try to count that in the given figure. Starting from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 one by one squares. There are bigger squares. Remember that. So this is another square, and this is another square. We only see two by two squares. So that's 6 plus 2. That's equivalent to 8 squares in total for number 20. For number 20, there are 8 squares in total. In number 21, 1 unit square is 1 square face of a small cube. At least how many unit squares can be seen if the viewing for the figure below from the front? So where's the front side? The front side. So from the left, we have, starting from the bottom, we can see this from the front, second, third. Then going to the right, this is the fourth square we can see from the front. Going to the right, 5, 6, 7. Yes, so in this question, there are 7 squares that we can view or see. If we view the figure below this figure from the front, 7 only. 7. Oh, wait. I just mentioned, right, that um number 22. A pyramid has 16 edges. How many faces does this pyramid have? The problem states that a pyramid has 16 edges and the task is to find the number of faces. A pyramid has one base and the triangular faces meeting at the top. For a pyramid with an n-sided base, remember a pyramid has square base. So for a pyramid with an n-sided base, the number of edges is equal to twice the sides. Simply equal to 2n. And the number of faces is equal to sides plus 1, or that's n plus 1. As we check, the pyramid has 16 edges. So, to get the number of sides, edges is equal to 16. So, 16 divided by 2 will give the number of sides that there are 8 sides, or n is equal to 8. If n is equal to 8, just plug it in to know the number of faces. Remember that faces is equal to sides plus 1, or n plus 1. So now this transforms to n plus 1, 8 plus 1. Final answer to this question is 9. 9 faces for number 22. Number 23, a rectangle is 7 centimeter long and 5 centimeter wide. A smaller rectangle, 3 centimeter long and 2 centimeter wide, is cut off from the corner. What is the perimeter of the remaining shape? Alright, so here's a 7 centimeter long or 7 unit by 5 unit wide rectangle. So let's label that it is 7 centimeters long. So the other side is also 7. That this is equal to 5 centimeters. That the other side is also 5 centimeters. Correct? And if a 3 by 2 centimeter rectangle is cut off to the corner, so 3 by 2. So let's label also that this is 3, that this is 2, this is 3, and this is 2. Right? Now we are asked, what is the perimeter of the remaining shape? So the remaining shape is only the green area, no? So that would be the 5 centimeter, 5 plus 7, 12. 5 minus 2, so this is equal to 3. And this is equal to 3. This is equal to 2. And this is equal to 7, correct? Let's combine. 5, starting from the top, counterclockwise, plus 7, plus 3, plus 3, plus 2, plus 7. So that's equal to, let me check. Okay, let me just correct. This is not equal to 7 anymore. This is now 7 minus 3, just 4. So what we will just count is, again, the perimeter. So adding all the sides. So 5 centimeters, 7 centimeters. So I'll just copy 5, 7. And then this is 5 minus 2. So 3. This is 3 centimeter long also. Now this is still 2 centimeter long. But 7 minus 3 is now 4 centimeters long. So let's just add. That's 5 plus 7 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 4. This is equal to 12. This is equal to 8 plus 4. So that's 24. Well, if you will be willing to draw and do this, then that's great. You will get the correct answer. But another way to do this is that knowing the original perimeter, it's a 7 by 5 rectangle. So the original perimeter is 24. If a smaller rectangle measuring 3 by 2 centimeters cut from one corner, when a corner is cut, the two side lengths, the 3 and 2 centimeter, are removed. The two new sides of the same lengths are added, 3 and 2. So the total perimeter does not change. So if you know the original perimeter already as 7 plus 5 times 2, that's 24. And the corner is cut, just like this one, the red rectangle, no? Two new sides of the same lengths are added, 3 and 2 also. So you will end up with the same perimeter. So final answer for number 23 is 24. Number 24, four squares with two sides of 2 centimeters are arranged to form a large rectangle in a row. What is the perimeter of this large rectangle? Here's our four squares with 2 centimeters arranged, forming a large rectangle arranged in a row. It is written in the question that per side is 2 centimeters because a square has all the sides equal. So this is equal to 2 centimeters, 2, 2, 2, and 2. We are asked what is the perimeter of this large rectangle formed by the 4 squares? That would be if the length is equal to 2 and the width is equal to 8. So this is equal to 2 plus 8, 10, multiplied by 2 because you have 2 lengths and 2 widths. The correct and final answer is 20. You can complete also the diagram to just the outer part of the rectangle because that's how you get the perimeter, the outer sides. So how many 2's are there? There are 10 times 2, 20 is the final answer for number 24. Last category, combinatorics. Number 25, Katie has 15 $2 coins. At most, how many $5 coin or coins can she exchange these coins for? Given that Katie has 15 2 coins, first find the total value. So 15 times $2 coins, that's $30 in total. To find the maximum number of $5 coins, we just simply divide $30, the total money of Katie, by 5, that's equal to 6. With no remainder, so that's exact. Since 30 is exactly divisible by 5, no value is left over. The final answer then is 6 $5 coins, so just write 6 for number 25. Okay, so for number 26, among the values following expressions, how many 20-digit number or numbers is or are there? So let's start by getting the values of each expression. It must be all calculated first so that you can evaluate each result. Okay, so 7 times 3 is 21. 35 minus 27 is equal to 8. 28 minus 14 is equal to 14. 40 divided by 5 is equal to 8. Next, 3 plus, no, we have 21 minus 11. That's 10. And 3 plus 6, it's equal to 9. 88 divided by 11 is 8. So 21, 35 minus 27, 8. 28 minus 14, 14. 40 divided by 5, 8. 21 minus 11 is 10. 3 plus 6 is 9. 88 divided by 11 is 8. So now we have double check that our calculations per expression are all correct. Now, last thing to do among the values of the following expressions, we need to identify how many 2-digit number or numbers is or are there. So eliminate 9, 8, 8, 8. No other conditions. It did not ask it must be even or odd. So 21, 14, and 10 are all the results from the given following expressions that gives a 2-digit number value. So the final answer is 3 only. Only 3 for number 26. In number 27, if we combine numbers 1, 4, 6, and 9 to form 2-digit numbers, what is the largest possible value of the sum of these two numbers? Okay, so to do this, first we arrange the numbers from decreasing order, as in 9, 6, 4, 1, so that we can determine what are the big digits to use for our tens digit. So for our tens digit, we have the options to make it 90s and 60s. Okay, 90s and 60s. So 9, 90, 60. So arranging 1 or 4 in any, make it 91 or 64, the sum will not get affected. The critical part in this question is just, it's to make sure that your tens digit, since it's a two-digit number, will be at maximum, like 90 and 60, instead of using a 40 or a 10, right? So 91 plus 64, this is 5, this is 15. Even if we change this to 4 and this is equal to 1, still that will be 5. So final answer, that the largest possible value of the sum of 1469 when arranged to form two-digit numbers, that's 94 and 61, their sum would be 155 or 91 or 64. The sum will not change, it's 155. Number 28, if we choose three different numbers from 4, 7, 2, 5, and 9 to form three-digit even numbers, what is the largest number among these numbers? Okay, so the same technique from the previous question, that we arrange the numbers in decreasing order. We have 9, 7, 5, 4, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 digits listed already in decreasing order. We are to form the largest three-digit even number. So we'll have 9, 7, then 4. So that to make it even. So final answer is 974. Just right, 974. That's for number 28. Number 29, you have three tops, a red, a yellow, and a blue, two pairs of pants, black and white, and three pairs of shoes, black, brown, and gray. How many different combinations are possible when you have tops, pants, and shoes? Okay. Since there are three choices for tops, two choices for pants, three choices of shoes, each outfit consists of one top, one pair of pants, and one pair of shoes. So just simply multiply three tops, three options for the tops, two options for the pants, and three options again for the pair of shoes. So these options combined, just simply multiply 3 times 2, 6 times 3, 18. So a common mistake is adding the number of choices instead of multiplying them. Remember, we are asked of the different combinations possible. So a red top can be paired to a black pants and a brown pair of shoes. That it could be paired to the white pants, to a gray colored shoes. So getting the number of choices per object, three tops, two pairs of pants, three pairs of shoes, multiplied is the total combination of getting a top and a pant, a top, pair of pants, and pair of shoes. There are 18 different combinations. Final answer for number 29 is 18. Last item, number 30. How many numbers from 1 to 30 are both even, divisible by 3, and greater than 15? So in number 30, let me just correct the word both. Don't mind the word both in number 30, and let's read it again. How many numbers from 1 to 30 are even, divisible by 3, and greater than 15? So from 1 to 30 that are greater than, what we can do is, let's list down the even numbers greater than 15 directly, so that um our time will not be consumed listing all the even numbers lesser than 15. So the condition, it must be greater than 15 and it must be even. Then later, we'll check if the divisibility of 3. Okay? So, we have 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, and 30 included. So, all of these numbers are greater than 15 and even. Now, let's eliminate the numbers that are not divisible by 3 because the numbers must be divisible by 3 according to the question. 16 divided by 3, a remainder 1. 18 divided by 3 is 6. 20 divided by 3, remainder 2. 22 divided by 3, 7, remainder 1. 24 divided by 3 is 8. 26 divided by 3 is 8, remainder 2. 28 divided by 3 is 9, remainder 1. 30 divided by 3 is 10. So, the only answers or the only numbers that are divisible by 3 that are greater than 15 and also even is number 18, number 24, and number 30. Therefore, in item number 30, the correct answer is just 3. There are 3 even numbers that are divisible by 3 and greater than 15 from the numbers 1 to 30. 3 only in number 30. And that's it. Thank you for listening. Good luck in your TMO finals.